One thing that narcissistic mothers can do to triangulate their children is that they gossip about one child, usually the scapegoat child, to the rest of their children, the rest of the child's siblings. They gossip about that child amongst the other siblings, amongst the other children, to make them look bad. This can look like the scapegoat child and the parent got into a disagreement about something. They got into a dispute about something. And the narcissistic parent was in the wrong here in the situation, but the scapegoat child was not. But to do damage control and to make the scapegoat child look bad, the narcissistic parent, the narcissistic mother, will lie about what the scapegoat child did and spread that lie amongst the other children, amongst the scapegoat child's siblings. And they will do this in a way by creating a false narrative, creating a different story of what happened, and telling that story to everyone else to make the scapegoat child look bad, to make them look like the villain, to make them look like they did something wrong. So then what you have is you have all of the other children looking at the scapegoat child funny, looking at them like they did something wrong, looking down upon them, or being disappointed in the scapegoat child, all because of what the narcissistic parents said that the scapegoat child did, which is false. I know that was a lot, but you're following me here. Is that the narcissistic parent will make up lies about the scapegoat child. They will make up lies about them, creating a false narrative, creating a false story about what happened, creating false allegations, and they will spread it to their other children because they're trying to make the scapegoat look bad. They're trying to make the scapegoat child look like the wrong one here. They're trying to make the scapegoat child look like they did something wrong, or that they did something bad, or that this scapegoat child needs to be punished, or we need to frown upon this scapegoat child because look at what they're doing. We need to look down upon this scapegoat child because look at what they are doing. We need to be angry at this scapegoat child because look at what they did. That's another thing. The narcissistic parent wants for the rest of the siblings, the rest of the children to be angry at the scapegoat so that the scapegoat doesn't have any support, that the scapegoat doesn't have anybody to support them, be there for them, or believe them on what they say. The narcissistic parent will create lies and make it seem that they did something wrong or did something bad, all because they want the rest of the siblings, the rest of the children to be mad at the scapegoat. Why do they do this? Because they're trying to triangulate. They're trying to turn the other siblings against the scapegoat child. They want the scapegoat child to be lonely. They want the scapegoat child to not have anybody. They want the scapegoat child to just be by themselves and alone and depressed, not have any support, not have any family support, not have anybody that loves them, not have anybody that likes them, not have anybody that respects them, not have anybody that cares for them, not have anybody that cares about them. They don't want the scapegoat child to have that type of luxury or privilege. They don't want the scapegoat child to have that. They want the scapegoat child to be lonely and miserable and sad and not have anybody, not have anything. Because the lonelier the scapegoat is, the sadder that they feel, the better that the narcissistic parent feels about themselves. The narcissistic parent is deeply, deeply envious of the scapegoat child. So they operate all of this energy out of all of this energy that they are operating out of is out of jealousy. It's envy and jealousy. They deeply envy the scapegoat because they see this scapegoat has a bright light about them. They shine so brightly. And then even in situations when the scapegoat is not wrong, they see how the mature the scapegoat child is, how emotionally mature they are, and how they handle things in a good way, and how that the scapegoat child sets boundaries for themselves. The narcissistic parent does not know how to set boundaries for themselves and with others. They don't know anything about boundaries. They cross other people's boundaries. They cross their boundaries with other people, and they overstep other people's boundaries all the time because they don't respect boundaries, nor does the narcissistic parent have any boundaries. They don't know where they end and their child begins. There is no boundary line. and they see that the scapegoat child has boundaries and sets those boundaries, and they're envious because, one, they don't know how to set boundaries themselves. So they envy the fact that the scapegoat child knows how to set the boundaries, while the narcissistic parent does not know how to set any boundaries for themselves or with others. So they get envious of that. They also get envious at the fact that the scapegoat child can stand firm on their boundaries and make sure that those boundaries are respected. While the narcissistic parent cannot do that, they envy the scapegoat for being able to do it, for being able to do so. They deeply envy the scapegoat child, and they are also jealous of them. They are jealous of how, they are just jealous of them. They're jealous of how they shine. They're jealous of their maturity level. They're jealousy of the actions that they take in the righteous way, in the right direction. They're jealous of your state, the scapegoat's state of mind, how they have a great state of mind, how they are strong, how they are wise, how they are smart and intelligent. They are just so jealous of how they exemplify themselves and how they express themselves and how they show up for themselves and show up in life. They are just so jealous of the scapegoat child that they want to do everything that they can to tear the scapegoat child down. So to triangulate the scapegoat is to isolate them away from the group, away from the community, away from the family, away from the dynamic. That's to triangulate them, is to isolate them away from everybody, to have everybody else over here and the scapegoat child just off by themselves. That's exactly what the evil narcissistic parent wants. It's exactly what they want. They want the scapegoat child to be isolated, to be off by themselves, to not have anybody, while the rest of the family unit can be here and coexist and enjoy themselves and have fun, while the scapegoat child is off by themselves alone. Because it makes the narcissistic parent feel better about themselves. To make this child feel worse is to make themselves feel better. Because they feel like they have to, the narcissistic parent is very ego driven. So if they can hurt the scapegoat's ego, it makes their ego feel better. Or to see something happen where they see one child being off by themselves, that fuels the narcissistic parent's ego because they think it is damaging the ego of the scapegoat. They think everything is to damage someone's ego. The narcissistic parent just wants to damage someone's ego, The narcissistic parent just wants to damage the scapegoat's ego because the narcissistic parent is ego-driven themselves, but they have no idea that what they're doing is hurting more than their ego, but it's hurting their soul. To isolate someone, to have them off by themselves, hurts a person's soul. It hurts them at their core. It hurts their heart. It hurts their soul. And the narcissistic parent is completely oblivious to that. Because all they want to do is do things at a surface level, at an ego level, not deep beneath the surface. But they're causing so much damage at the surface that it's dipped deep beneath the surface, and it's deeper than what has happened. Even though it's up here, even though they're hurting here at the surface level, it gets deep beneath the surface. And it hurts deeper than the surface level. Even though they're just trying to hurt your ego, they're hurting your soul at the same time. The narcissistic parent wants to just isolate this child so that they are off by themselves and that they have nobody. All because they don't want to see them be loved or be liked or be respected or be cared for. And that's why the narcissistic parent will make up insane lies, insane rumors, false allegations, stories about the scapegoat that aren't true. They're lies because the narcissistic parent is a pathological liar. They make up all these insane lies about their child, about their scapegoat child, just to make them look bad. So then when the scapegoat child comes around and gives their side of the story, gives their telling of the story of what happened, it's a completely different story. It's a complete opposite because the scapegoat is telling the truth while the narcissistic parent was lying. The narcissistic parent is the one that lies, not the scapegoat child. The scapegoat child tells the truth. That's another thing that they are envious of. The parent is envious of the honesty that they have. They're envious of their honesty and their truth telling and their truth speaking. That's why they try to discredit their truth by telling lies about them. But the scapegoat child comes out here and tells the truth and prevails every time.